Hello everybody, it's your boy Proftrof and we're back again with another video. This is a video by SethTheProgrammer that y'all suggested. It's a gorilla versus grizzly bear. Who would actually win? Okay, I think I know this dude from somewhere. SethTheProgrammer. It's very familiar to me, but I'm not exactly sure where from. What kind of content does he make? I don't know. Anyway, so before we start the video, who would you think is gonna win? A grizzly or a gorilla? I gotta be honest with you, I think the Grizzly wins this shit easily. I think the Grizzly's bigger. I don't know if it's a raw strength, if it's stronger. It has claws though. And it can bite. I think the bite's way worse than a gorilla's. And I think it's bigger as well. The gorilla is strong though. I don't know. I think Grizzly Bear wins in a 1v1. Well, let's see.
Hello everyone, it's your host, SethTheProgrammer. Today we're going to be going over something I've been hearing for years now. Who would win in a fight between a gorilla and a grizzly bear? This type of debate is almost on par with my dad would beat up your dad level arguments, but it reaches a more deeply ingrained primal level in all of us. Two massive creatures that are way stronger than even the most powerful and skilled humans on the planet, with almost no effort at all, even in their lower tiers, duking it out in a fight we can only sit in awe and watch. Now, the thing you have to consider with animal fights is that it's not as cut and dry as, say, determining who would win in an anime battle. In an anime or cartoon manga fight, you'd say, oh yeah, Goku could fight a guy who could destroy a planet earlier in the series, and this 10-year-old kid's pet rat could zap the god
True, that 10-year-old kid's pets are fucking OP.
out of the universe.
Bruh!
Nah, but in all seriousness, animal fighting
this
really
game
is
is awesome.
more in that fight
I like this
science-y territory, similar to MMA discussions. None of it can really be as objective
Khabib.
or as clear as we could hope, and
Khabib stand-up though.
animals aren't very consistent a lot of the time, even then.
Jesus
I mean, imagine what the scrubbiest of actual people can do compared to the strongest of people, and it's sort of similar with animals, which
The
is why
fuck
there
was
can be a
that
range
shit?
of feats strongest
Brother, what kind of bench press position is this? Spine destroyer?
of people, and it's sort of similar with animals, which is why there can be a range of feats that can sometimes not really make sense. For this video though, we're going to be doing a pretty general who would win more than likely kind of question,
Exactly.
rather than
That's the
this
best way
one
to
would
go.
objectively stomp every
Because he's looking at species, he's not looking at certain individuals, so it's better to look at the as a whole. You know, if 55% of bears would win against, you know, the remaining. If in a fight, a bear versus gorilla, 1,000 fights, 55% of the time, bears win. That's a win for bears.
time. To make the fight a bit more consistent as well, both the gorilla and the grizzly bear will be bloodlusted and in absolute fight mode. So no arguments about, well, the bear can run off sometimes if you tell it to go away, or gorillas wouldn't even try to fight the bear, etc. None of that. They are fighting. The gorilla will also be a silverback, not just a standard gorilla.
Shit.
With that out of the way, let's go over some of the stats and feats.
Okay.
The gorilla, a massive
Yeah, I
anthropoid
miss Tirzu videos. I miss fucking Tirzu videos.
that many consider to be humanity
I
in its
saw
more
most of
raw,
them.
physical, and combative
Yeah,
state is
Tirzu
certainly
videos.
no joke. This distant relative of humanity is often considered one of the most pound-for-pound, physically strongest animals on Earth, only being rivaled or really outdone by insects, which tend to be relatively absurd, such as if they were pound-for-pound with a human, they'd be able to hurl cars and houses, etc. Gorillas are usually considered 4 through 20 times stronger than humans, depending on who you ask, and trust me, with animal feats and science, it really depends on who you ask. The Nyungwe Forest National Park website places their lifting strength in the 1,800 pound range, with the most famous of strength sources for the gorilla, the 1988 Guinness World Record, stating that a gorilla based off of feats with chimpanzees lifting could lift around 2,000 pounds with training. Some people will even say a gorilla can lift up to 4,000 pounds. However, I wasn't able to find sources for this, and most strength gauges for gorillas tend to be more so in the realm of theory than actual tests. In the Guinness Book of Animal Facts and Feats on page 44, it is described.
I did not know that the Guinness Book had feats of animals. Since when? I mean, nowadays I know that they have a world record for anything. I could probably invent like 5 world records currently. The most spoons shoved inside of a human's asshole. Bam! World record right there, baby. YouTube, don't ban me,
that
please.
with a male gorilla's massive strength and one of the only authentic killings of a gorilla on a human. At around 1910, a man in Uganda was suspended in the air with one arm and had his head torn from his body, with an arm being torn off before in a similar fashion in 1923. A feat like that doesn't even sound real and comes off more like something you'd hear about in a Resident Evil game or a movie, but that actually did happen. A gorilla actually picked someone up and ripped his head from his body while holding him.
He's dead.
The gorilla's most impressive asset, however,
see
is
that
not
happen.
its strength, but its absolutely monstrous bite force. Clocking it at 1,300 pounds per square inch, the gorilla has a bite force over twice as strong as a lion and almost any land predator on Earth, which it uses to fend off predators and other rival gorillas with. Gorillas are also known to be quite wild when they actually engage in a fight, and are even known to break glass at zoos and go on rampages that nobody can stop unless they are armed, if they ever escape, sometimes requiring police intervention.
Zoo workers armed with tranquilizer guns had pursued the animal throughout the forest jungle of the wild of Africa resided for about 40 minutes. Tried to charge 2 of our officers, so we had to shoot the deputy police chief. I mean, that is okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. If it fucking runs wild, you can't really be having a gorilla trying to kill people, okay?
Even for smaller gorillas.
I am all for animal rights, but not when they endanger human lives, okay?
Gorilla can also run at 25 miles per hour, which is almost as fast as Usain Bolt at his absolute peak. They have weighed up to 589 pounds and have reached up to 6 feet 5 inches tall. On average, though, they are more in the 300-pound range and are around 5'1", which, while
midgets,
not very impressive, is pretty impressive when you consider their
Fucking
weight
midgets.
and pound-for-pound strength in conjunction with it. The grizzly bear, on the other hand, has been a creature terrorized.
Actually, if he's supposed to be putting the strongest bear versus the strongest ape, shouldn't he be putting a polar bear? Like, polar bears are bigger and stronger than grizzly bears, right? That's just how it is. Why not put a polar bear versus a gorilla? Huh.
Terrorizing humanity for countless generations. Named the Ursus arctos horribilis, also known as the horrible bear, the grizzly bear was considered an indestructible force of nature by colonizers, trappers, and
Really?
Native Americans alike. During the 1800s, Lewis and Clark, on their expedition to the Northern Passage, had heard terrible rumors of the grizzly bear and doubted them, believing a good hunter and a good shot could probably handle one. However, they later learned the actual thing was worse than the rumors.
Bruh, look at the way they have painted this thing. Look at the way they've drawn it. Looks like a fucking hellspawn. Looks like a demon out of Doom.
And you would only have
Look at that face, my guy.
seconds
This dude looks like he's growling 24/7 while he's sleeping. He's like, "Arr, arr." This is his sleeping face. This is my sleeping face, motherfucker.
to defend yourself from
What
them
the hell?
before instant death. In 1822, William H. Ashley and his 100 trapping men entered the
The subscriber wishes to engage 100 men to ascend the river Missouri to its source, there to be employed for 1, 2, or 3 years. For particulars, inquire of Major Andrew Harry near the lead mines in the country of Washington, who will ascend with the command the body or to subscribe it. 100 people for a bear?
mountains. Despite the stories they had
fuck?
heard of the grizzly, after their journey they obtained more information than any other group during the 19th century. Some of their warnings include no fear of man, almost impossible to kill, expert swimmers, faster than our horses, cubs are ferocious.
But they're fast. Wait, bears are faster than horses? That must be wrong, right? No way.
Must shoot in the eye or behind ear to kill. Guns only infuriate. Large as an ox. If you run, you're dead. One shot 30 times before killed. Trappers usually in shock for 1/2 hour after encounter with. It's no surprise that the Native Americans
Oh,
believed taking one down was a legendary and priceless accomplishment. These
This movie
creatures
was
were
amazing.
truly on a godly level back in the 19th century. The largest grizzly has grown up to 2,200 pounds, with their peaks usually ranging around 1,500 pounds. They can run 35 miles per hour, but if you consider the stories by the 100 trappers, they might be even faster. They are usually 4 feet tall and 8 feet long, with some grizzlies like the famous Teddy, who played in the movie Grizzly, standing up to 10 feet tall. They ragdoll 1,500-pound mooses and have a bite force of around 1,160 to 1,250 pounds per square inch, depending on who you ask, which is around twice as strong as a lion's. The Californian grizzly, usually around 800 pounds during these events I'm about to describe, used to be put into pits against 1,100 to 2,200 pound bulls, and almost always won during the 19th century. These amphitheaters would even put bears against things like panthers and so forth. In terms of strength, Montana State University once did a test of their strength for a National Geographic documentary, in which it was concluded that bears could knock around a 700-pound dumpster like it was no more than a beach ball. With it being concluded, this is only while they're playing around, and they could do so much more if they were ever enraged. It is no exaggeration to say that the bear is one of the top...
Okay, now let's talk about Red Dead Redemption. Have y'all gone to the northern part of the map? There is a cabin where you get like there was something there for Dutch that you gotta get, and there is like a hole in the back of the cabin. But when you find the cabin, you hear a little noise. When you go to the front of the cabin, you walk inside. There's a fucking bear jump scare inside. There's an actual jump scare in this game. Made me poop a little bit, I gotta be honest with you.
Land combatants on the planet,
bro,
and is
help
one of the biggest threats to even an armed human being in a fight, and was considered a threat on par or even more terrifying than actual armed humans.
Help him, you psychopath. Where's your rifle?
During the 19th century.
God damn it, John.
With introductions out of the way, let's get down to the facts of the matter here. The gorilla's main advantage in this fight are its slightly superior bite force and its superior strength, with the grizzly's main advantages being almost a 3 to 4 times size difference and its massive durability advantage. Many people imagine the gorilla would simply swing at the grizzly and beat it to death. However, we know that gorillas do not actually fight this way. Gorillas more so getting close to their opponents, trying to grapple and bite them, and are often...
The thing is that many people think gorillas would swing because that's how humans fight. Like, you swing for a punch. But the reason we get such strong punches is because of our center of gravity. Like, you can position your legs so that the whole body swings into the punch. A gorilla cannot do that because of the way it's shaped. Okay? Like, it might be stronger, but it cannot land a punch like us. You know.
Often known to maul their opponents and bite them repeatedly. Even when gorillas attack actual people, this is the case as well. With bites being a strong offensive option they abuse, it's literally in their genes to bite. Why wouldn't you bite if you could bite twice as hard as a lion? Many think the gorilla is insanely intelligent and will use human-like tactics to handle a grizzly bear. However, we know through actual observations of their fights that this is not...
What? That thing just did an elbow drop. He did the Rock's elbow, the people's elbow.
And they are quite sporadic and don't use a lot of strategy. One thing to note about gorillas is that they usually are considered more peaceful than most would believe, and they are not predators that seek fights with other animals quite often. Due to this, their ability to seek out kill points is lacking, and they have no instinct helping them to do so. They are also not remotely the same level as a human in terms of strategy, and would be considered worse than our absolute worst more than often. So imagine your dumbest friend you know, tell them to make a plan on how to beat a grizzly bear in a fight, and he'd come up with infinitely more things than a gorilla would. Gorillas also have problems in a fight, and he'd come up with infinite...
Batman with prep time. He has a Mjolnir, he has the gauntlet thing, he has Ben 10's watch, he has Pokeballs. What's on his fist? What is on his left fist? I have no idea. Is that the dude's... He has a fucking deck. Is that a Yu-Gi-Oh deck? He has lightsabers. And he has that fucking god from God of War 3's boots that make him go fast. I'm fast as fuck, boy.
Infinitely more things than a gorilla would. Gorillas also have problems grabbing things compared to humans. Humans have longer and more opposable thumbs, which let them more accurately grab and manipulate objects and form things like fists to punch people with. Gorillas are more slapboxy, if they ever do, and are more often than not with. Gorillas are more...
What is this?
Or slapboxy, if they ever do, and are more often than not just they flail around. You have to remember, it requires a human years of training to accurately learn how to fight. We are not ingrained with using high-level technique. However, bears might actually be. Bears, while not intelligent...
Okay, listen. A gorilla cannot do
technique.
this.
However,
the legs,
bears
brother.
might actually be.
Can't punch that
Bears, while not intelligent at all, have insane instincts for fighting, as they are literally designed for, and are known to be extremely adept at wrestling.
Jesus, adept at wrestling.
Instincts for fighting, as they are literally.
Goddamn, look at his leg muscles. I just want y'all to look at its leg muscles, because you can kind of tell. And its back, but Jesus Christ.
Designed for, and are known to be extremely adept at wrestling and knowing how to kill prey.
Who is this crazy man? Who is this crazy man? Why is he wrestling with a bear?
Like the flailing gorilla, the grizzly is far more calculated and skilled despite the intelligence gap. In terms of skill, the grizzly absolutely takes it. However, the stats are still something to go over. Perhaps the strength of the grizzly is too much? Let's segue into another topic to better explain this. Neither the gorilla nor the grizzly are invincible, as many would believe. Gorillas in their natural habitats are often hunted after by leopards. With a different subspecies rivaling grizzlies, the Russian brown bear is often bested by Siberian tigers. This is quite telling of how this fight would actually go, which I'll go into more detail.
Oh, I don't think they're often bested. I've heard about the Siberian tigers and that around, what was it? 3% of their diet consists of bears, but that's probably not grown bears, to be honest, because I don't think any hunting animal would actually take a fight with a grizzly bear unless it was like dying of hunger.
For bibliographical studies and research once noted that the father gorilla of a family will often spend the night at the foot of the tree his family is around while he stands on guard. In a stand-up fight, there is only one foe that he has reason to fear, and that is the leopard. Many believe the leopard only takes down the gorilla during nighttime when it has less awareness. However, we actually know that leopards have duked it out and stalemated or straight up have defeated silverback gorillas in fights, with the only account of a gorilla ever killing a leopard actually being a mutual kill between both the gorilla and the leopard, where they just killed each other. Whereas other reports have shown back in October 1988 that a leopard attacked a male gorilla in broad daylight, got thrown off the gorilla, and then hunted the gorilla down for the rest of the day while the gorilla ran in fear. In other instances, leopards have failed their initial attacks on silverbacks and have had to face them in a battle to the death, almost always winning or running away.
How does that even happen though? Like, looking at the stats, the gorilla should win this fucking 9 out of 10 times. What's the leopard? Bigger, stronger.
Or they mutually agree to stop fighting. But how is this? How could the much larger and stronger gorilla lose a fight to a leopard who is almost half to a quarter of its weight? The difference is the arsenal and the skill. Gorillas are anthropoids and herbivores. They are not designed the same way a carnivore is. Anthropoids lack a subcutaneous muscle called the panniculus carnosus, which is a sheet of muscle that attaches to skin and makes it loose and maneuverable. Animals like anthropoids, who lack this feature, have very tight-fitting skin that offers little resistance to the traction applied by clawing and therefore easily cuts open. So basically, when someone like you, me, or a gorilla gets clawed, it tears through the skin. The skin doesn't just shift around or take it as well. This is why when you watch cats or bears play fight each other.
I did not know vets actually do that. Okay, so cats have an instinct if you pick them by the scruff of the neck to relax, because that's what their mothers do to them. I did not know that they fucking did that shit.
Around or take it as well. This is why when you watch cats or bears play fight each other, they don't just tear each other to death and can bite each other and claw each other with things that would cause us to bleed or be seriously injured by while having a smile on their face. A good example of this is the honey badger, which can take bites from lions and shrug them off by moving around in its own skin. This overall concept is what makes the gorilla fear the leopard. It simply doesn't have the right durability to face it, and its strength can only be used defensively or else it will be massacred or bleed out to death. Now, this isn't to say gorillas can't fight back at all. You know, obviously leopards have agreed to stop fighting gorillas or leave them alone, but they simply lose more times than they win and are instinctually fearful of large leopards. The brown bear that faces Siberian tigers is a bit more complicated. That's
the biggest tiger in the world, and tigers are the biggest cat in the world. Yeah, they are, right? Yes, I'm pretty sure they are. And they're scary as hell.
Tigers make leopards look like kittens. In a 1972 piece by what is this? By Hector and Slutsky, featured in a book called Wildcats on page 56, end quote. Tigers sometimes...
Why does it sound like a porn novel? Wildcats. Wildcats in their wild habitat.
Kill and eat leopards in their own kind, as well as other carnivores, including bears, weighing up to 170 kilograms, which they have attacked in their winter dens. End quote. Siberian tigers are then even larger than obviously most tigers like the Bengal. Leopards have also been known to kill tigers sometimes, but it's usually in a passive zoo-like setting where they're not really akin to fighting, or against female tigers, with more wild and larger tigers almost always winning against the leopard. Even then, the brown bear doesn't always lose against the tiger like the gorilla does against the leopard. The record is more like 20-ish to 12-ish from what we know, with a lot of these kills being more in line with the tiger sneak attacking the bear, as cats are usually known for. The tiger can win in a straight up fight.
Just look at the muscles. I just want you all to just look at the muscles on it. Look at the tiger's arm. Jesus Christ, yeah, go fight that thing. Wait, oh, that's an Asian bear, right? Those things are kind of ugly as hell. I gotta be honest, those things are kind of fucking ugly as hell. Look at that thing.
Against the bear,
it's an Asian bear,
so can the bear sometimes. It really just depends on the size and the setting. Some people also try to claim gorillas beat tigers in fights, which I have no idea where this rumor came from, and I didn't find anything to substantiate it. They don't even live in the same area of the planet. It seems to be highly unlikely that's true, considering leopards are known to smash them pretty consistently, let alone a tiger. For those that don't understand what I'm getting at yet, the grizzly would basically be a much worse matchup than the leopard. At least with the leopard, you could argue they are small, not that durable, and not that strong. However, the grizzly, whose bite force is almost twice as strong as a leopard, almost 5 through 10 times heavier, and is just as kill hungry and skilled, the gorilla simply does not logically win on average. Sorry to say it, even the gorilla's only real attribute, the bite, is actually rivaled by the grizzly. It's not even that big of a difference, with grizzlies biting each other almost full force all the time. There's also the question of if gorillas even know how to use their bites properly, with some humans being mauled for 30 minutes straight by some rampaging gorillas and not even dying after being bitten numerous times, let alone the invincible grizzly bear. One silverback has even been defeated by a poacher with a spear before, which I'd love to hear any story of.
Yeah, this dude fucking lost. My boy won a 1v1. He's a poacher, so I was kind of hoping he would not have won the 1v1, but it's still kind of impressive, okay? The feat in itself is kind of impressive that you can kill a gorilla with a spear. Now, you're a poacher, so you're a piece of shit, okay? Stop killing the animals.
Of a large grizzly bear being 1v1'd by anybody with a spear. I don't think there's a single person on the planet who could 1v1 a bear with a spear. It simply is.
I mean, I guess it's possible. Like, it would be a throwing spear. Like, you throw it, if you hit it in the neck, maybe run away and hope it bleeds out before it kills you. And that's probably your best shot. Like, in a melee fight with a spear, you're fucked. You're just straight up fucked. But if you can throw a spear, hit it somewhere in the neck or something very vital, and, you know, disengage until it dies, maybe. That's a very big maybe. I would not risk it.
It's just not happening. Even during modern times, these days, we have recordings of grizzly bears being shown tanking shotgun blasts to the face and then acting like it just stung rather than actually taking damage, and then continuing to charge its target. Well, as the trappers once said, gunfire only makes them angry. The strength of the gorilla many bring up is also questionable and not very tested as well, and is more so in the realm of theory, as I said before. As an example, there was once a question of how strong tiger-style martial arts were compared to an actual tiger, in which a swipe from a playful tiger was on par with the tiger-style martial artist's hardest strike. In fact, the martial artist struck harder. They were unable to gauge the tiger's true strength, and the same is said for bears, in which their only gauge is them ragdolling 1,500-pound animals or a 700-pound dumpster, so we can't even say for 100% certain how the strength of a gorilla actually even compares to a serious bear, because we've never measured a serious bear before, and gorillas are more apt to throw around their strength randomly in displays. That being said, the bear more than likely blitzes the gorilla at 35 through 55 miles per hour if you take this trapper lore, wrestles the gorilla, and as they bite each other to death, the gorilla just kind of bleeds out and loses with moderate difficulty, while the bear more than likely takes minor damage. A better debate for a grizzly is more so tigers rather than gorillas, but respect to gorillas, that feat of one kind of just picking a guy up and then ripping his head off with one hand, it really caught me by surprise. But there is a reason during the 1800s the gorillas were hunted for fun, while the grizzly was seen as an absolute nightmare. As a disclaimer, I try to avoid some anecdotes when it comes to animal scaling, as some people will say things like, my pet wolf was able to fight off a tiger, or my leopard absolutely thrashed a tiger, 3 dogs, and a polar bear, possibly just to hype up their zoo events or animal events and try to hype up the animal that's going to be being displayed. I try to look at the more consistent tellings of things. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and like maybe if you did, and maybe you guys have some more ideas, maybe other animal matchups I should do. And other than that, till next time.
What's happening in this thing?
You guys have some more ideas, maybe other animal matchups I should do. And other than that,
is that
till
cougar
next time.
Killing a bear? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think a cougar is gonna kill a bear, my guy. I don't think that's how it happens. Anyway, what do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. And a quick thank you to the Patreons: Pedro Martins, Kamasco Unit, Rob Barry, Prince Zeta, Swas, Derek Fields, Chicken 53, Senior Hilter, Lemon and Moon, Aikma, Dasher, Ronnie, not a James Bizonit. Thank you all for the support. Hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll be streaming some RimWorld, so come check me out with that, and have a nice day, everybody.